Welcome to the MATY.B. Wait, welcome to the Daily B with MATY.B. We've got John Mackenzie on today. I keep messing that up. God damn it. I was talking today, I needed a tagline. If any of you guys have like some funky fun taglines that you reckon I should use for my intro and outro, I'm open to suggestions. So I'm just going to, John's not on yet. So we'll wait for John to jump on. But yeah, I've been watching a few different shows, a few different podcasts, a few different interview style sort of channels, and everyone's got this like an intro. They've got an outro, just like the little funky, fun little taglines. So I don't know. You guys have any ideas? Hey guys, jumping on. I just had a ginger beer. I feel a little bit bloated. So yeah, John Mackenzie, guys, is coming on. He's I met John recently, but he's had a big impact in a short amount of time. He is, I'll wait for him to jump on. Basically, he's a business tycoon up in Darwin. He's putting together an amazing innovation when it comes to the digital marketing space. So we'll be talking about that. And he is extremely on top of the changing landscapes when it comes to business, government, cultural structures, and just how that's going to affect everyday people like you and me, business owners alike, and yeah, just I guess the impact that's going to have. So, hey Daz, hey Chrissy, hey Lauren, Jasmine, Robbie, thanks for jumping on, guys. Lovely to see all you beautiful people. How's everyone doing? Having an awesome Wednesday. I thought it was Tuesday this morning. Hey Ryan, how are you, buddy? Now let me just see if we got John online here. Whew. I forgot how warm it gets down in Victoria this time of year. I did not bring, I don't even have many summer clothes down here. So rolling with the times. Hey Jasmine, hey Renee, Koshi. Lovely to see you guys. Dill, my man, lovely to see you, brother. How are you? All right. Give me one sec. All right, had to do a little. Hey. Try up here. Hey, bro. Hey, guys. Here he is. The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Mackenzie. Let's get him up and in here. That should be about right. You guys hear me okay? Is my internet connection good? How's the flow? Hope it's all right. I seem not to be choppy on my end. I guess we'll see when John jumps on. John, did you get the invite, mate? Let me know if that's come through. Hey, Nicola, thanks for joining us. Good to see you. Had many amazing comments from our show the other night. If you guys haven't seen, I believe it was episode 10, Nicola Sim and myself having a really good chat about love, sex, relationships, and everything in between. Hey, Carmen, adding. John, you might put your phone sideways, brother, if you haven't already. Let me know if that invite's come through, John.
Connecting, here he comes.
Hey. Connecting, here he comes.
Hey, John.
There you go, mate.
Hey, John.
I can hear myself.
I can hear myself.
Do you have an iPhone?
I do.
Do you have an iPhone?
Have you encountered this before?
No, but we'll see if I can get some headphones and see how they go. Just one second.
Okay.
Okay.
How you been?
I had this the other day.
I had this the other day. If it
will get you to start to go live,
and I'll add your one.
I could jump on my desktop, so we'll just see how it goes.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Here we go. Let's see how this goes.
How's that? Oh, still. Still there. Okay.
Still there. Okay. Full on.
It's not converting over. How about I try from my
Laptop.
My laptop. I'll just leave. I'll just be back. One second.
Okay.
It's full on. It's so full on. Like, I don't know if you guys can hear it. I think you can. Like, I speak and then a couple of seconds later it comes. sort of sent that we got to figure out what that is. Happened with Dana again yesterday. I think it might be iPhones. I have to ask some of the other guys that it worked with if they've got iPhones or not. No, it declined. Try again. All right.
Is that better?
That's better.
Awesome. I just obviously I just had to come back in on the phone, so that worked well. How you been, mate?
Very good, very good. Are you on your phone or your computer now?
On my phone.
Oh, really? Were you on your computer or your phone before?
No, I was on the phone, but obviously when you're in live and you plug something in, it doesn't click, the port over to the microphone. So I had to leave, plug it in, convert it over to the audio, came back in, and it worked perfectly.
Huh.
So, yeah.
All right.
I
love solving problems. Look at you go.
Yeah, live and learn.
Live and learn.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
How you
Awesome.
been?
Thanks for hanging out and thanks for joining me. Yeah, I'm really good.
Oh,
really good.
Sorry for being a bit late. Today just got away. It's just a crazy day,
Oh, man, it's good. It's good to be busy. Things are happening.
Yeah, I don't know, it's just crazy, really busy.
So for those that haven't heard of the famous John Mack and those that don't know who you are, can you share a little bit about where you've been, what you're doing now and where you're going?
Yeah, that's a question to sort of work out. So I probably grew up in Gippsland, so close to where you are, in Victoria. I spent most of my life there, and a lot of time so I grew up in Maui and sort of spent most of my life in Traralgon. And, I spent most of my formative years in commercial lending, so got a really strong understanding of commercial. But I think what I've found in commercial is the appreciation of the hard effort that a lot of business people go through. And, so when I grew up, in like commission housing, so government housing and, on government benefits. So I understand how hard life actually is. And then just I probably went from there into 18 years of commercial, I guess, personal learning, in business. And I love business more than anything. During that same time, though, I eventually started running and cycling for a few years in that time. So I ended up, running, I don't know, like 20 or 30 marathons, I guess. I ranked in the top 50 marathoners a number of years in Australia, just on performance in, big city marathons. And that's after I couldn't run a step. So for me, what I learnt through sport was, confidence in truly anything is possible. And I think that it's a hard thing in life because we all get beaten down. Life has a weird way of doing that to people. Then I stepped out of, commercial lending. So in the commercial lending, my last 4 years there, I probably learnt my trade really, really well. And, I grew a very, very profitable book of customers, during the hardest time through the global financial crisis. So I didn't think much of it, to be honest, but probably a sales guru. I just understood the psychology of sales, if you like. I didn't really think of it until years later.
And that was at a time when there wasn't many people doing that well as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was when a lot of people were suffering. So I was in the top 1% of salespeople in Bank West in volume, but I was also in Victoria in the tops. Look, I was more profitable than the next 7 managers below me. So what that meant is I was probably in the top 1% of profitable managers as well, which means that I was off the charts in terms of volume and profit. Once again, you don't think about these things when you're doing it; you just go do it. So I just created these systems on what I was doing in that space, and at the same time I was running and cycling and being a high performing athlete there, and just chasing my goals and sort of just doing what you do, young kids, and so on. I stepped out of that and spent some time in, some tourism assets, caravan parks and so on. I grew some really, really innovative ideas, which we executed, just crazy stuff that increased profitability and unfair competitive nature in business in ways that for me, it was all about innovation and creation. And I often used to say, when people say, John, what do you do? I'd say, look, I get paid to think, and the better conceptual, pathways that I would do, the more money that the business would make. And 100%, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And then after that, I spent a couple of years working in manufacturing, so Lean and Six Sigma. So understanding things like root cause analysis and 5 whys and, PDCA cycles and, helping people improve, output in terms of manufacturing. I did some business advice during that course of time as well. And then eventually my wife, Tina, and I, we moved up to the Northern Territory. And we did that because we're looking for a new start to change something. So we bought a hotel that, went through some challenging times because the market sort of shit itself. And then, had to reinvigorate. So I went and worked for 2 years for the federal government for Oz Industry in the Entrepreneurs Program. So I was spending, through that time, I coached, mentored, and gave business advice to businesses up to $100 million in turnover. Working on a lot of them are working on Australia's largest ever infrastructure project, up to $50 billion US dollars that was spent on that project. So I was helping businesses scale, improve productivity, performance, and basically employ more people and pay more taxes. So that's what my job was, and become an industry facilitator as well to improve the capability, if you like, of industries in mining and oil and gas predominantly. Also advanced manufacturing, food and post-farm gate production, and enabling services. I didn't do a lot in tourism, mostly because I had a tourism asset, because when I moved up to the Territory, bought a hotel. So during the last couple of years, or during the end of that, that role as a business advisor, and helping a lot of people and seeing fundamental problems, I was building a couple of technology apps. So I was working full time, owned a business that my wife was predominantly running, and developed 2 technology apps that are sitting on a shelf at the moment. So I spent quite a lot of money, a lot of work, project managed those at the same time. But what I discovered was our business model where we're working at the moment, which is, Staff Leverage, which is a digital agency company, and which is a tech company in itself. And we're building the base platform at the moment. We've scaled our business from 6 staff to 62 staff in about 16 months or so. A global workforce, and during that time, we've probably reached about a valuation cap of about $8 million in the tech company, and we bootstrapped it with no investment, no support, and just doing what we do. So
beautiful.
That's sort of
puts a cheeky smile on the face.
Yeah, well, I like being a bit of a rebel because I get pretty frustrated and pissed off with how people either they advocate responsibility in their own lives or their business. That's one thing, but mostly it's around government, it's around bureaucracy, it's around corporations, and even so. I spent time working in the banking sector for 18 years, so I know it very, very well. I've been a business advisor and spent time there. We created our own digital agency as well, so I understand the digital agency landscape. And then, of course, I've seen how corporations work, and I worked inside government for 2 years. So for me, I see,
seen it from all angles.
Oh man, so I just see so much waste and so much irresponsible ethics, from corruption to nepotism to, man, it's just so much. So I just get really pissed. With stupidity and everything that sits around it. So I call it.
I love that. I love listening to you talk on this, and I want to touch base back on this in a second. But first, can you share that transition of how, because I think this is really prevalent with just people's mindset to start with, is that your tenacity from your sports, and then how that mindset permeated throughout your professional life as well and your career.
Yeah, look, I think we all need something that makes us or forms who we become. I just remember as a young lad, like a young kid, right, that I never felt good enough, and I just remember growing up, and because I didn't have a father, so I've never met my father a day in my life. So no father. I had a gay brother, disabled sister. Um, I was never wanting for anything because my mum loved us immensely and gave us everything that she could. So I don't think I ever grew up,
Yeah.
needing anything else, to be honest. So, and you don't know what you don't know. So for me, it was a good, good life, great memories. But I just remember, with your friends, and just as you go through life, that you just don't feel good enough. And I guess for many years that was there, and it probably was a catalyst to being a driver, if you like, as a sports person. And I haven't really spoken about this, honest. The more I do at the moment, the more open I'm becoming in terms of sharing who I really am.
Yeah.
I just don't. It's the hidden John. It's the hidden me, and
Yeah.
for such a long time, I really didn't share, my personal views and feelings and so on. But what I found is, as I stepped into sport, I don't know. I guess I found belief, maybe hope. I don't know. I found confidence, I guess, and I
That
became quite
sense of worthiness
successful.
and like you were good enough.
Yeah, and like I guess I grew up a little bit, probably at the age of 28 to 30 as well, and I think that
Yeah.
we all have different maturity pathways. So
Yeah.
then I started to focus on self improvement, and because I was running a lot of kilometres, I would typically run. So the average week I'd run 200 like an average 200 per week, 200 kilometres per week, and I would run in. So I'd run in the morning and run at night, every weekday, and then I'd do a long run on a Saturday morning of probably about 25 to 35k, and then I'd run 35 to 50k, I guess, on a Sunday in normally one hit. So I'd run probably 12 times a week. Now,
Wow.
when I was doing those long runs, and I was also doing the morning runs, if you like, I'd run 5 6k, meet someone, run a distance, finish off, split off, and then run home. So I might run another 4 or 5k home. So like every day and possibly every night, I'd be running, like, say, 10k by myself. That would be probably around
Wow.
40 to 45 minutes. Now, when the iPods started coming out, and MP3 players, I bought a lot of audio books. So what I ended up doing is, and I was going on self-improvement, I ended up, doing all things entrepreneurialism, all things innovation, all things, blue ocean strategy, the purple cow, some of my favorite books, but it was just everything from, from Branson to Trump to, to process improvement, you name it. Like, I consumed a lot, and because I was literally running probably an hour and a half a day by myself, even though I was running probably
A lot of
two and a
information.
half. Yeah, so I was consuming a lot, and I got to the point where I'd
Yeah.
consume at 1.5 to 1.75 times speed. So
Yeah, I got that
fast.
too. It's
Yeah.
so good,
So
isn't
now I
it?
listen to something. Yeah. So you listen to something that's slow, right? And it's like, man, you're not going fast enough.
Yeah.
Speed it up, because
Yeah.
I want more. You only people that's done it, that's attuned to it, know what I'm talking about there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just consumed a lot. I learned a lot. I applied, failed, in a bunch of different stuff, and made a lot of fuck ups, and sort of just kept learning and growing and learning and growing. And, I've probably written about $1 million worth of government grants in various fashions as well, for different companies, for people that I was working for. I was part owner in a business, and, in the Northern Territory, I've, written a few successful grants, and I've worked in tech, a few tech startups where I've got an augmented reality startup at the moment that we're working on tourism in AR and VR and 360-degree videos. I've got whole, working on systemization in terms of business performance and training and sales predominantly. But man, it's just, I'd get bored. So for me, I want to work hard. So my work ethic came from working full time and running 200k a week. So, and now I sort of retired from running because I got a bit injured, and it was time to sort of move on. And but I've got a very, very slow heart rate. I've got a slow metabolism, And that made me a fantastic endurance runner, because my resting heart rate in a controlled resting state is 27 beats per minute.
Wow, that's really low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's
What's
so
the
confidence came
average?
from sport.
Like, triple that.
No, my average would probably be 42 to 43. Sorry.
What's an average person? The average person though.
65 to 70.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
the average
massive.
person 65 to 70. Yeah, look, so I'm talking extremely low. I've ran with and cycled with AIS runners and VIS runners, and my heart rate and my metabolism was amongst the best, better than anyone I ever trained with. It's only the super elites that got to that sort of that level. But I don't know. I sort of
Good
love what I
gift to
do.
have.
I'm probably a bit obsessive compulsive, so I work hard. I want to work hard. I love, moving fast, breaking shit, and doing other things that I didn't think I could do, or other people didn't think is possible, and that's really where we are.
Can you speak on that a little bit for people that maybe haven't found their groove yet, or haven't found that mojo that really gets their ass on fire and gets them hitting the ground running every day?
Yeah, look, life's bloody hard, right? I think that, I think we all go through tough times. So I think that if you think someone else's life's perfect, you're probably not reflecting in the real world. So I think that that's really important. But I think a lot of us, it's only when you take action will you get an outcome, and it's taking baby steps to wherever you want to go. Look, I don't know. Look, there's just so much opportunity in the world. It's not going to roll over and just give it to you. You got to sort of fight for it and make it happen. But you've got to have fun along the way. And look, I was speaking to, I don't know, who was it? I was speaking to my global team, sometime last couple of weeks, and we're talking about efficiency, we're talking about output, we're talking about failure, and we're talking about celebrating failure, if you like, rather than penalising it, particularly when you can have shared learnings. But I think that what I was talking to them a lot about is, a lot of people, they want something, they're chasing something, right? And one of the challenges is that we've got to realise that you've got to sacrifice to get to where you want to go. I didn't win, a dozen marathons because I took the easy pathway. I didn't get to. I think I won an Australian Championship cycling. I got fourth in Australian Championship. I didn't do that because I took the soft option. Life's hard, but what are you going to do about it? You've got to go out. You've got to stand. And I think that too many people, they're making excuses for their lives. They're making excuses for themselves. I'm not perfect. I'm not going to try and pretend that I am, but I will always have a crack and always have a go. And I think that I probably got to the age of 42, maybe 42 and a half. So I've turned probably 2 years ago that I finally figured out what I want to do in my life. So if you're young and you haven't figured that shit out, don't beat yourself up about it. Keep breaking shit and figuring shit out, and I think that learn by it and grow by it, and but try not to make those excuses, because I think that's where the limiting beliefs come in. And sport gave me that first insight to who I would become in the future. And I'm not going to say that the confidence thing is just a perfect thing either. It's not like you get confidence and then you've got it every single day. Because a lot of the time it's a little bit, and I don't like the phrase that much, but it's a little bit like fake it till you make it. And what I don't like about that is too many people just try to fake it, right? But what I do think that the concept is right. But when you're trying to fake it, you've got to have the deep knowledge of what you're trying to do. And too many people try to fake it without, a body of knowledge or putting the effort in, and then they're skimming. and they're not going to succeed because they're just telling themselves bullshit stories. You know, I'm working hard because what you're working 45 hours a week, fuck off. You know, that's not hard. You know, I work 90 hours a week and sometimes 96 hours a week. You know, if you want to work hard, that's what hard is. Too many people tell themselves bullshit stories and they wonder why they get what they get in life. You know,
I was going to say,
I don't know.
Big matter of perspective. Like, it's one thing to, have a sense of belief, but even that sense of faking it till you make it, that bit of confidence. For me, I've noticed that if I get a perspective, that like my perspective is right, but yet I look around me and see that there's other people like yourself working 96 hours, and then I'm like, well, maybe there's something more I can do, or maybe there are people that have achieved this in front of me with more challenges than what I'm facing, and so that in itself is sort of drawing that confidence and belief from other people's experiences to help me on my path until I do have those results for myself.
So, look, I'm not saying do it my way either, by the way, and I'm not saying I'm perfect. But you know, and it doesn't have to be 90 hours or whatever. It could be like 60 hours. It could be 65, whatever it is. I just think too many people, they make excuses because they're sitting on the couch, they're going home, you know, they're getting distracted by all of life's distractions, and then they have this dream that they want to have this life that they want, but they're not putting the effort in to get there. You know, you can't have your cake and eat it. You got to actually sacrifice to get to where you want to go. You ever look at any of the successful, you know, people in the world, the story is the same. They've all had to put some form of success. And if anyone's going to tell you, oh, here's the magic wand to go change your world, and here's the easy pathway to get there, and you can have life balance, you just try that for the next 5 years, and they're full of shit. Honestly, look, even when you have a look at Tim Ferriss's 4-hour work week, right? He never worked 4 hours 1 week in his whole life. It was a theoretical pathway to understanding how you can lock, you know, delegation processes in a remote environment. You know, and the methodology was sound, but not the theory on working 4 hours. And everyone thought, oh shit, we can work 4-hour work week.
It was a great title to sell books.
100%. You know, and it was the catalyst to his success. So I think that too many people are too busy, you know, trying to look for the elusive, you know, magic wand that's going to fix their life because they're not committed to actually doing whatever it fucking takes to do. You know, don't. I was
gonna say, I think he spent 4 hours 1 week coming up with the title. That's about the 4 hours.
That's about it. So for me, look, I know how much work. Some people can do it with less because they're far more talented than I. They're smarter. They're just better at what they do. You know, so they can probably get away with it. But for most of us, when it's hard work and intelligent ways of getting there, which has still got a bunch of failure. But I think that too many people, they try to look for just the easy path. And in that, oh man, I don't know. I wish someone would show me how to get the easy path. But even if they could, I wouldn't take it for me because the journey is just as much.
You would, but you just still have that more time to do other stuff, wouldn't you?
No.
Like an efficient, a more efficient, effective path.
Yeah, look, maybe. Look, I'd fast track the outcomes. I would still work nearly the same amount of hours because I'm committed to my future life. Yeah, I'm committed to my future life. And it was when I was a runner and a cyclist. When I was cycling, I was cycling 500K a week, every single week, 500K. And, you know, I just remember in Gippsland in the middle of winter when it was -1, -2 degree, you know, it's 7:30, 8 o'clock at night in the middle, you know, so it's dark, freezing cold, torrential downpour, and you know, wind and stuff. I remember climbing up, up climbs to the top of Mount Tassie in the dark with lights on, you know, up the Tyres Hill, you know, doing the hard yards when I didn't see anyone else out there. You know, it's the difference between, you know, trying to be the best you can be and people kidding about being the best they can be. So when I went to local races, you know, I became, you know, the strongest person in those races in running and cycling. And it didn't happen by accident. It happened because I had a work ethic that took me there. And I think that that's where we are in terms of our business at the moment. You know, I think that we're going to do amazing things that, you know, watch this space. You know, just watch what's happening on Staff Leverage on my personal feed at the moment. The conceptual ideas, the design frameworks, the training, the education, the pathways. man, we're blowing shit up at the moment, and
Yeah.
we'll only do more of that when we get our platform built. But I don't know.
Definitely.
Like as I said, a lot of people do different things. You've got to find what you want in life, right? You know,
Yeah.
for me, I want to leave a legacy. I want to look back and go, wow, look, even now I'm running and cycling. I don't know how I did it.
Yeah.
Because of but I guess in 10 years' time, 15 years' time, I'll probably be saying the same in business.
Yeah.
What we're doing today is just really exciting. So, yeah.
You're putting in unreasonable. You've got unreasonable expectations of yourself. You got unreasonably high and big dreams, and you get unreasonable results because you do unreasonable things, which majority, 99.99% of people they don't do that. And there's nothing wrong with sitting down at the end of the day and having a beer and chilling out, getting to bed and having 8 or 9 or 10 hours sleep and getting up and cruising
Depends what
on to
you
work.
want.
There's nothing
It's
wrong with that.
perspective, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But
yeah, 100%.
But if those people, if that's what they want and that's their perfect world, and they're living their dream, so be it. But if those same people whinge and whine and worry about what they are doing, what they're not doing, and then the world's the worst case, but they're not putting the effort in, that's when I say, hey,
that's
come on,
an issue.
That's when it becomes an issue. And it's not, it's hard. Life's hard. I think we all realise that.
Yeah.
No one's tapping us on the shoulder and say, great job. Here's the magic bullet. Or, here's a bundle of cash, or here's the pathway to success. If you really want it, you've got to figure out how to go get it, and
we've got to.
That's the thing.
Yeah. So okay. Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot of action takers in amongst our network together. One thing that you really sort of made me walk away from our last conversation thinking pretty deeply about was just the chat about failing and making mistakes and being okay with that. And it's something that's spoken about a fair bit, but I just loved your take on that. And if you could, just sort of share your perspective on the mistakes that you've made and how you sort of approach failures and mistakes as well. That'd be awesome.
I can't remember what I said. I'll say something different now because it's, look, I'm trying to think of some of the failures.
Speak from the heart, bro.
Look, it's hard when you fail. It really is. And, I've gone through some really, really tough times in my life in terms of those failures. And particularly when you try your best and other people take advantage of it. And I think that's one of the hardest things. And when you've got a vision and a dream and that sort of gets stolen or taken away from you, that becomes incredibly difficult. I also think that we've actually got to fail faster. We've got to learn more, right? I was talking to some guys earlier today from a couple of government departments, and we're talking about innovation and entrepreneurialism and how we can improve, fundamental, outcomes, if you like. And it's about failing fast and getting back up and then going again. We learn by failure. And I think that we're, in hindsight, look, I think our education system's completely fucked. It's just messed up. It hasn't moved fast enough to where the world is today. And I do think it's hard for teachers and so on in that space. I think it'd be a very, very difficult job and sometimes thankless, but I also think at another times it'd be highly rewarding. But I think fundamentally why I think it's broken is you've got vocational training, you've got academia, but you've got nothing for the other people. And I think that is where it sets people up for a lot of grief and a lot of failure. And we've got a lot of kids that don't fit, the hands-on model or the mental capacity through academia. So they just get, they don't fit in. And I think that's a problem. So I believe that disruption in the education pathway is going to be huge in the next 15 years. I think that some of those things will be solved. And I think that the core business models of like universities as we know today, and they will not disrupt themselves. They will not innovate themselves because it's a bunch of old dudes who know some stuff and they're intelligent, but they're not smart. And they're sitting in boards making these decisions that they think the world's not going to take away their cheese, move their cheese. Man, it's moving. It's already moving. They haven't figured this shit out. So, for me, someone's going to take it away from them. Gone are the days where someone's going to pay $200,000 for an MBA, right?
Yeah.
They haven't figured it out. So, and they've got these very big business models, in terms of infrastructure, high cost lines, and they're trying to build a different model, if you like, using the old traditional pathway. But yeah, they're in trouble. So for me, I think that's going to be an interesting thing to watch. But failure is, we've got to fail. Oh, I know what I said. I've got it. So when I was in sport, what I realised, to be the best version of me, I had to work out how I would improve. And over a reasonably shorter period of time, I started to get to quite a strong, I guess, endurance or speed or capacity to win quite well. Then what I ended up doing was, when I'd enter a lot of local events, I would enter the event with one thing in mind, and it was to completely maximize the total amount of pain that I could put myself through, so I could race myself out of the the event, to not win, to fail.
Yeah.
So what I was doing was setting myself up for failure after failure after failure after failure, to hurt the most I could, so I could become stronger with a bigger vision in mind. Okay, so I had a vision and a dream of other races, whether it be a marathon or a bike race, and by following a specific process, I'd be even more prepared for the future. And I think it's a metaphor for life. So for me, that's definitely what failure is, and we've got to embrace it a little bit more. It's hard. We need to embrace the tough stuff, but then we need to push through.
One thing that keeps coming up in my mind is, I forget who it was that told me, but basically looking at failure as feedback. So just reframing it in our own minds as not a failure, because failure is just a definition we've decided to give to all these things that we go through, but it's all just feedback at the end of the day.
Yeah, look, it's very true. Like, I think that we as a business, in so many ways, as I said, we've grown from 6 staff. We peaked at 62 staff in about 16 months. Man, the things that we've learned on that journey, it's just crazy. It's phenomenal. And we failed so often in the different things we've done there. But it's the feedback, and that feedback is so critical to the improvement cycle. And I think that when you overlay that with self-learning, self-improvement, then you can exponentially get better. And once again, that's where I think that a lot of people, I think that if they're really going to have a look at what they want in life, and they take an honest reflection on themselves, I think that they can start to work out, are you doing enough? Could you be doing more?
Yeah.
What does that look like? And then chasing it. Because everyone wants to...
yeah, sorry.
No, you go.
I was going to say, do you think that's pertinent for the same time, really, like you're when you got into your exercise, that you actually started to have that belief and that self-acceptance as well, in that you actually changed or took on board that mindset of accepting failure as a part of your feedback loop and your success. And that sort of, for me, it sort of gives people that permission to go out there and make mistakes and fail and actually put themselves out there. And because the majority of the time that we're lacking confidence, we don't believe in ourselves, it's to keep ourselves in that safety zone and our comfort zone, and not make mistakes and not put ourselves out of our comfort zone. So yeah,
look, I think that one of the greatest challenges that we have in society today, I guess, is we grow up and we don't expand our the key influences of our personal lives enough. And what it means is we're living up to somebody else's expectations, and I think that holds us back by doing so, because an expectation sometimes can be, you know, you might not be good enough, so you don't even approach it because there's a limiting belief there. So this is someone else's, but you'll buy into their belief or perceived belief. But I also think that when you have a look at ourselves, look, I think that we apply that pressure to ourselves as well. And too many people accept where they are rather than say, hey, you know, you can actually change your world, you know, but it's unlikely that you can change it, you know, by doing the same thing over and over again, you know, which is the definition of insanity. So I think that you need to hang out with people with a different mindset. You need to listen and take on board the feedback. You know, look, for me, you know, I get a lot of feedback from a lot of different people, and I think that the day that you do not listen to someone else is the day that you lose. You know,
absolutely.
You got to listen, but so listening doesn't mean that you will do what they say. You've got to make that intelligent determination on whether or not there's value in the feedback loop that they're giving you, because their limiting beliefs might be the bullshit story that they've already bought into. So you've got to work that out, I think.
I think it comes down to trends and patterns as well. Like if you get to that point where, all right, there's some random comments or there's some random feedback coming through, but once there is that pattern, even just communicating with people and in relationships, like if you're getting a certain response from multiple people, that's then sort of your responsibility to take a look at how you're communicating your messages across. But then if it is just
maybe
one-off.
So I say maybe because if we reflected on just because it's unpopular doesn't mean it won't. It's not the right pathway. Right.
Okay.
So I think that there's a
following
fine
the herd
art.
is the wrong way.
Yeah. Look, so I believe that if you are following the herd, you're going the wrong fucking way.
Yeah.
If everyone's going that way, man, I'm going the other way.
Turn around.
Because fuck you.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not going to follow the herd because there's going to come a day that I'm going to be dead, right? We only get one life, the whole lot of us. So it's about having fun. It's about having a crack. And I don't want to just be one of the herd. That's not who I am. I used to run races from the front. I used to, you know, cycle from the front. I never cheated a day in my life. It's not my nature. I get there by, you know, by the value that I set myself by. Look, so don't follow the herd. And I think so. And when you have a look at the last 15 years or 13 years of disruption and innovation, particularly, and you have a look at, you know, some of the darlings, if you like, of the innovation space, like Uber, and more importantly, Airbnb, which is probably the thought leader in the whole genre, if you like. And when they started to say, you know, I'm going to rent my back room out to a stranger, and everyone said, you're fucking crazy, that'll never work. Right?
Yeah, that's feedback,
You know, today they're only worth about $40 billion. So sometimes a little bit of crazy is what it takes to change the world. And I think that if you follow the herd and you listen to them, you'll probably either lose your dream, lose your passion, and you won't execute on something that could be the right way to go. Because most people don't have the innovative entrepreneur's arsehole, you know, in their mind. They're not that way inclined. And when I talk on that, I'm sick to death of talking about experts, innovation, and entrepreneurs. You know, because everyone's one.
So how does that relate to true self-expression? How does that correlate with this?
So I use expression for a number of reasons. That's a hard question, that one. So for me, I use it as a business pathway. So at the moment, a lot of people might realise that I'm doing certain things in the marketplace, and it's because I understand my audience, right?
Yeah.
So I understand, and it's also my personal beliefs as well, based on what I've seen in my life. So So for me, that's my journey's belief in what I've seen. I've seen bureaucracy in government and corporations to be totally a bad thing. Corruption, nepotism, inertia, really, really bad stuff. I've seen how people, when they get into roles where they're not following, fair process and outcome, and they're not going their self improvement pathway. But I think that so I use self-expression at the moment because I understand my audience. I understand their pain, their problem. So I'm picking fights with all the people that's caused it, right?
Yeah.
Because they deserve the fights to come along, So it's. And the funny thing is, when you pick the fight and people know what you're saying to be true, you've already 90% of the way through the conversion, right? So it's easy because everyone knows that governments are bullshit. They're a pack of fucktards, realistically, that they waste so much of our money and the bureaucracy that's holding them back, we should be addressing, but no one will. Because it's an engine and a beast in itself, but no one's doing anything about it. So it's easy to point it out. For me, when I look at that, and then I have a look at how other different systems of people are pulling these businesses back. For me, it's all about businesses, right? So and I just talk to the business owner. So I pick fights knowing that the business owners know what I'm saying is 100% true, and that shows the authenticity of who I am. Because you know what you're going to get, you get what you see, and you know that it's not that I'm perfect, but you know that we're our heart's in it, our passion's in it, and we truly do care.
Yeah.
And in the modern world,
you're not willing to. You're not afraid to stand up.
It's standing up for people, and I think that there's not enough people standing up for other people in the world today. So so I use expression for those reasons. I talk in too much generalizations. In every one of those names I just mentioned, there are good people in those areas. I know it. I've seen it. So I know. Yes, but when I'm talking about the body or the group, they could be a whole lot better, and that's really what I'm talking about.
So I've gone through the process of setting up a private foundation and learning or scratching the surface of the structure of the government, structure of corporations, the connection with the Crown and the Vatican, and the sort of flow down from there. And it was mind-boggling to start with. And then listening to yourself and a few other people, just really have that passion for the injustice and the bureaucracy and just the misuse of resources, human and other. Is there? Because I've heard two sides, right? One is sort of along the lines of Bucky Fuller that says that you don't change a system by fighting the system, create a new system to make the old one obsolete. And then there's the people that say, well, these systems and these processes are heavily in place and they've been indoctrinated and put in there for thousands and thousands of years or hundreds of years. So we need to stand up and fight back. And that's sort of the angle that I hear you on. But is that something that you've thought both ways about, being public and private, being in both sides, or just standing up and getting the ones that are in power now to do the right thing? Or where do you sit with all that?
Look, that's a complex question. And I think that what I know to be true is that I'm calling the problems that they are. And I'm not calling the problems they are because I want to personally go fix them. Mostly because I know the pathway that I'm going on. But so I'm using the knowledge that's 100% truth, right? And raw, really, the raw truth to connect to my target audience. So for me, it's all about my target audience. Look, I think, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts often, but I think that the only time that power ever listens to anyone is when you're a true influencer yourself. And true influence in the world is money. So the only way that any form of influence can be, can be forced upon, the powers that be, is to become, vastly powerful. And it's not because I get out of bed for money. It's because money is the thing that talks, right?
Yeah.
So for someone to listen, it's going to take me to grow a very large tech company.
Yeah.
And tech companies are the only way today. Look, I think that, so I'll go down a slightly different pathway.
Yeah.
When you have a look at business, and businesses are in a world of pain right around the world today. 30% of businesses fail in the first 2 years, up to 50% fail in the first 5, and 2%, only make it past 10 years. So what you'll find is there's all this downward pressure, on the business cycle, allowing, those people to be successful. Some of it's because they don't have enough skills. There's definitely that. But a lot of the time, their inner circle doesn't have the skills themselves to help them on their journey. Okay. Sometimes they're not investing into their own future as well. So there's all these things going on. But what you'll find is that they don't understand how the world's changed in traditional and digital, and they don't understand how to find their new customers, how to nurture them, and then how to close deals. So it's just changed, and it's going to continue to change, and it's become quite complex. And everyone's an expert, in digital marketing or some form of, I don't know, all the crap that goes around that. But what you'll find is everyone can watch YouTube, read something on Google, and put something online. But what they don't realise is when you bake a cake and you miss one ingredient and you miss one step in the recipe, it doesn't come out the same. So even though everyone's an expert, everything's screwed up, right? And then there's this whole confidence that gets lost. So that's what's happening in the world today, and they're the primary drivers that's leading towards success. But what you'll also find is in the world today where money has been made, it's different to where it was made 10, 15, 20 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. So if you ever look at the top 100 companies in the world today, 26 are digital companies, tech companies. 7 of the top 10 companies in the world are tech companies, and vastly in front of the rest. So there's a fundamental reason for that, because they can grow and scale faster than anything else. When you get when you've got your proof of concept, you understand what problem you've validated and you're solving it, and then you can exponentially scale. You create wealth on a different level, right? But no one's talking to business owners about how wealth has been created in the modern world. So they're all executing, I guess, strategies, if you like, that's lost in traditional thinking. And a lot of the inner circle haven't kept up in their skills, and they don't have the skills for people that are in their influencer group to tell them any better. So they're blind and understanding to what's happening, and they don't understand innovation and entrepreneurialism and levers that you can pull to be successful. So that's what's happening in the world today.
So is there a general path that you're suggesting and pushing business owners down in across the board, or is it more so different industries you're getting them to look into? Or
so it's different. Look, I think that there's no magic wand again, right? So you've got to you've got to be looking. So when I bought a hotel, I bought the hotel to do more business-like things, right? And I think that when you talk to a lot of businesses, you say, "Hey, what business you're in?" And they say, "Oh, like I'm in fabrication. I'm in I don't know, like digital. I'm in hotels. I'm in this. I'm in that." No, they don't understand that that's not their business. Their business is not that. The business is finding the problem that everyone has accepted inside the industry, and then work out how the hell they solve that problem. And when they solve that problem, then their next business is to work out how they can validate it and how they can have a proof of concept so they can sell that to other people and solve the problem. But too many people in business are going through the day-to-day motions of insanity, and that's why they're not creating wealth, and no one's educating or training them.
It's a shame.
You know, it's the way the world is. Like when you have a look at the injustice of the world, you know, the governments, the corporations, the the power, the top 1% of wealth in the world, they don't want to share that with anyone else. You know, so why? You know, so if you got to go figure this out by finding the right people that's going to be truthful. It's not that those people are bad people. It's just that that's their life. That's what they know. That's what they've been either brought up or been indoctrinated into. So that's what they become. You just need to understand how the world works a little bit. And I guess none of us are perfect. None of us know everything. But you've got to find your own truth and then find your own pathway. And I think that, once again, when I have a look at when I look at businesses and I look at the world, you've got to think different. You've got to go down a different pathway. Do not follow the herd. If you follow the herd, you're being told what religion, what government, and what corporations have been telling you to do for the last millennium. Now, I don't think that's the life that most people want.
Definitely not. But going against the status quo is so counterintuitive. It's like it scares the piss out of people because of that judgment they're going to feel from others.
It's hard, yeah. Look, look, I know, it's funny, because I'm trying to think. Like, about 15, 16 months ago, I still worked for the federal government. So I was thinking all this for a couple of years while I was watching and seeing
one of the
stupidity on the inside. Well, yeah, I was one of the bad guys. Hopefully one day I'll be one of the good guys. But, look, I still saw a lot of good people trying their best and doing it. But what they do is they get worn out by the limitations inside the process. So I definitely saw that. So I think that when I left and then I started working out what are we going to do and then how we would execute and do it better, I think one of the things I tried to focus on was finding our mojo, what we were going to stand for, and what our values were, and then what our purpose was, and that is really what we're focusing on. So for me, we stand for for business owners to help them be the best versions they can be. Okay, and we do that in many, many different ways. But a lot of it is around, being honest in our approach and standing for what's right. Okay, and we help them by solving some of their key problems so they can release the pressure, the pain that they live. But what we've also found that through part of our business model, we've found that because we're in 12 countries already today, and we're probably going to be in, 20 to 25 countries in 12 months' time. So what we've found is, globalization is a very real thing, and none of us can stop it. And disruption and innovation is going to make that happen regardless of what anyone else thinks. And like contrarian or being counterintuitive to what you think will happen often can happen in how you build business models. And that's what we're finding through part of our business model. We're doing things that people think will do something. It's going to do completely the opposite. And it's really interesting because a lot of people wouldn't even do it because there's so much resistance in marketplace. But we had to, I did a split test back in November last year, I think it was. I said to a whole heap of people, we're going to start a remote outsourcing company. And so what that means is we employ people in a different country and then we employ them into, different jobs into Australia. And then what we found was that even today, we've never cost an Australian a job. Not one person a job. Yeah. Not one. Because the people that we're talking to could never afford to employ a full-time person. Right. So
yeah, true. Yeah, that's it.
So would never cost the person a job. And the funny thing is, as we've worked with companies, right, and some of our companies have won Telstra Business Awards, right? They've grown. They've won small, medium youth business awards as well in their
Okay.
in their state. So we've been very successful in helping people become very successful. Some of those businesses have increased their sales between 50% and 2,300%. Right.
People don't understand that it's
Sales.
possible as well. I think a lot of people feel like when they're trying to, and this is not only just business growth, but even just personal development growth, is that they think, oh, maybe if I can increase my output or my results by 10% or 15 or 20%, but you can increase by 1,000, 2,000, 10,000% what your output is and what your results are. It's fucking intense, and that's where that confidence, that belief comes in, and the perspective that when you're around more people like yourself, John, that have actually had that experience, that are just doing epic things, that's when you can start building that belief, even though you don't have the results. You know that other people are getting it, so you've got that proof there. It's fucking awesome.
It really is. And the biggest thing that I get rewarded is, it's not about the money. It's about that person. It's about that business.
Yeah.
We saved another one. We saved one.
Yeah.
And just the other night, we were talking to one of our customers that went through this particular journey, and they were going through some tough times. When you're suffering, and a lot of people have been there. You think about all the mental health issues that go through that. It doesn't end with, I've been in business for 20 years. It's okay that I fail. It's okay that we'll redo it again. A lot of people look literally down the barrel of a gun because it's life changing. So for me, it's actually about the meaningful difference that we have on people's lives.
Ruin relationships with their children, all sorts of stuff.
It's catastrophic, right? And I saw that in so many years in business, right? In being a commercial lender, seeing people. I didn't see them physically do it, but they were my customers, or the neighbour of a customer that went through drought, that went through significant problems, or went through failure because the business process changed and they just didn't catch up fast enough. So for me, that is what gets me out of bed. That's because it's a fundamental belief that we're making a huge difference to people's lives. But I've also found that we do the same thing by employing someone somewhere else around the world, because they had this hopelessness, right, where they are, that there's no one coming on a big white horse, in shining armor to change their world. And I think that when I look at probably a little bit altruistic, through my reality distortion field, that what we're trying to do, if we get it right, it's going to fucking change the world, and in a big way. And for me, that keeps me up late at night. That gets me out of bed. That gets me wanting to help our customers with more care, more passion, more commitment than than anyone else I know. But it doesn't mean that we're going to be perfect. And our staff, which we're sharing the journey with us, I want to become a very big tech company so they have true freedom, wherever they are, Yeah.
I was going to say, do you remember that shift, that point where you shifted from focus, and maybe you never were there, but focusing on yourself and your needs and your wants and desires, to that shift to looking outside of yourself, and how impactful that was when you started just being pulled by that motivation of helping others and being there for others and making that impact?
I think it was gradual over a little bit of time. The funny thing is, because when we started growing, look, we had 6 staff, and like a lot of people don't know this. I don't know if I should share it or not, but we employed a few people out of the Philippines going back about 2 or 3 years ago, probably 3 years ago. It'd be 3 years this Christmas, I think. Might be 2, I don't know. And at the time, we're building, we're finishing one app and trying to look at another app and finish that and so on. And I was looking at VR and AR and having a look at how we can create some really cool tech and so on. And anyway, so some of the boys, they were finishing off some of the work, and we got to Christmas, and Tina and I, we were going through some pretty challenging times in the hotel, and we had some of our personal funds set aside for doing the app development that we're doing, and we had our, as I said, we had our team over in the Philippines, and there was a huge typhoon that come through, and it was devastating. 300,000 people were displaced. We had people that lost roofs and their power for a week, and very, very challenging times. And so at the time, I remember we were actually down in Traralgon, and it didn't unfold straight away. It came through in snippets, and it happened around the 24th and 25th of December. I remember that I was, where we were in terms of our business, struggling a little bit, and we're fighting up getting back to being successful, and then we're working on this other app, and and doing all this other stuff, and I'm still working full time, and I said to Tina, we've got people that's in pain. Their Christmas has been ruined, their lives, and I'll get emotionally about this in a minute. But what I said to Tina is, I'd like to, pay them, additional wages and, help them and, buy generators and do this and do that. And we couldn't afford it, but we actually did it. So, we made a difference to our people's lives. And 3 of those people out of the 6 are still with us. So for me, it's personal. It's not about the money. It's actually about what we're doing. And so that was my first step into understanding what making a meaningful difference, because for us it was our staff. Then as we moved through those 2 tech companies, and we decided that the business models weren't quite good enough, and we started finding out what staff leverage really was, and the app that we're building right now will be a different name. But what I found was when we grew from, I don't know, like 3 or 4 staff, we grew to about 15 or 20 staff. And I'd work late at night, we'd work on projects, and we'd try and figure out who we were, what we stood for, the services that we would provide to customers. What I actually discovered was I was chatting to our team and understanding their worlds, their lives, and man, things I just didn't know, about different parts of the world and how things worked and the pain and suffering, if you like. And then what I actually discovered is I was falling in love with not people, but, well, you're not a person, but people. And for me, that journey and change, that changed me as a person.
Yeah. Definitely. And
I'll get emotional about that, because I know how much we've...
Yeah. Keep going.
For me, that's what we do while we do what we do, but there's businesses on one side going through pain, and we're solving that problem, but we also know we're changing people's lives around the world. So for us, we're the conduit to, making the world a better place. And at the very core, that's what we're doing. And we've figured out how to do it. We figured out the problems, and we figured out the tech, and we figured all these other stuff out. But what I also found is, because we were so generous, that we were taken advantage of it quite a few times as well, quite a lot. So we figured out the problem with humanity. And the hard thing is understanding that humanity is what it is. But, we know what we're doing, what we're trying to do, and our technology will solve a lot of those elements that will help us into the future. But man, when we get to the point where our tech's ready to go and we're solving problems and we're on both sides of that equation, we'll scale like people wouldn't realise. And I think that when people really understand what we stand for, I think that we'll get funding more than what people will realise as well. And it's not about the money, but the money helps us get to the outcome. So we'll raise venture capital at some point. I've had a couple of chats with some people in government, and they reckon we're ready for it now, because we've already scaled, to a turnover point. So we're bootstrapped. What that actually means is we've done it ourselves. We haven't had anyone else help us. We've done it all internally. We've, but we're probably ready for some form of, that investor and that venture capital, and that'll allow us to, to potentially 10 times our business in the next 12 months. So I think if we did 5 times, I'd be pretty happy about that. But, we'll continue to exponentially scale, and that's our journey from where we are.
Can you take a couple of minutes to share what it is you guys are actually creating then?
Yeah, look, so a lot of it we keep sort of a little bit under wraps, but there's a bunch of different things that we keep discovering things, and we've locked the technology down. It's a communication
scoop for the Daily B right now.
It's a communication platform that does project management, in specific areas, and we use or have used all the others, and they just don't do what we need them to do. It's not. I'm not being nasty. It's just that it doesn't work. Yeah. So we figured that out. We found out why they don't work. So we're solving that. But then we're building, very systemized processes to help other people be successful. So we're having a look at the humanality of why people are doing certain things and how they're failing. And we've got wonderful people we're working with at the moment, and they're helping us with internal case studies. And, I don't know if we're helping them more than they're helping us. it's a two-way street, right? And that's the best part of it. It's just wonderful. And I'm so lucky. I'm so blessed with our customers that have patience for us. They know what we're doing because we're reasonably open with it, a lot of them. So they know that where we can be better, and they work with us and give us the feedback so we can pivot and be better. But the technology is going to solve that. So when we get to the tech side, that's going to be the cool thing there. But then we've got systems and processes that's going to scale it. And then we've got, pathways to market. And then we've got, we've seen how businesses are suffering. And, so we established a concept and a proof of concept that was all around I coined the terminology around extreme lead generation. And it was creating a bunch of leads for different businesses in very short periods of time that was worth between tens and tens of thousands of dollars for businesses. So we were split testing and trialing and doing all this stuff based on, our experience and knowledge. It just went freaking crazy. One particular business in 12 days, we dropped $100,000 of leads. Another one in 7 days, 60,000. But the problem is, then we discovered that those businesses don't know how to convert them. So so we solved one problem, which was awesome, and then what we did is we found another problem. So now what we're actually doing was we're solving, so I'm creating a training course on sales at the moment, so how businesses can reposition their mindset, but also on how they learn how to close deals. So we can help them close the deals. So, that's one thing that we're working on at the moment as well. So, so our extreme lead generation, and I also created another methodology as well, which is called the periodic table of business success. So I've spent a bit of time in finance and a bit of time in business, and I've failed quite a few times and learn a lot. I've been in tourism, in physical finance, in construction, in digital agency work, looked inside oil and gas and mining, all these different sectors, right? So then what I was able to do is find out some common themes, if you like, and there ended up being 100 of them. There'll be more than come in. So we called it the periodic table of business success, because if you can understand what each element is on the periodic table, and you can start to work out what you need to focus on to be successful. So we're doing just a ton of work there in terms of content creation, and then there'll be educational sit from that as well. So I don't know, I
love a nerd's approach to things.
We just keep finding stuff and creating it, and then man, it's all the devil in the detail. Look, for us, we've got so much stuff that people don't even know what we're working on at the moment. It's just crazy. So we love what we do. We are truly passionate about people we work with and for. And people that's on our journey with us. And our goal is to have a real purpose, but to have a meaningful impact on people on both sides of our equation. The business people that we work with, but also, our employees that help us on our journey. So, that's who we are. And I think that, if we can leave the world a better place than where we are today, it's crazy.
Step in the right direction.
It's just amazing. And look, I'm so lucky because I've got so many wonderful people I work with. People that's helping us through business advisory stuff. We're still figuring out part of the model there. But if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be where we are. So for me, money is a byproduct of success.
Yeah, of course.
And as I said earlier, I think money gives you the power to go fight some of the injustices. If John Mackenzie is very successful in 10 years' time, there's going to be some bitch slapping going on. Yeah, when
John Mackenzie,
yeah, good. Yeah,
there
there's
will
going to be some
be
bitch slapping.
some motherfucking bitch slapping going on.
Man, I'm telling you, there's going to be some bitch slapping because I just don't believe where we are, and people turning a blind eye to people that are a little bit naive because they're living busy lives, right? And I just don't think that's fair. And when I see the waste and the injustices, someone's got to stand up and be counted. And I don't think leaders lead from the front. They just lead, and sometimes you've got to fight through the hard yards of that, and it is hard. Yeah. But what you end up doing is you get people on your journey with you that help you, and your cohort and your raving fans that take the go with you gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think that's when you really stand for something and people start to recognise that, rather than saying, hey, is this real or whatever it is. When that happens, I think you can actually change the world. But it's
definitely
look, when I've got some very, very lofty expectations of how where we're going. I expect certain things. They're not unreasonable in terms of the people element, but it's unreasonable in terms of what other people would expect. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Right? They've got limiting beliefs. For me, don't limit yourself. If you shoot for the stars and hit the moon, you've done a great job. But I get back to my sporting belief. I was never ever satisfied or happy with any race that I probably ever finished, because I always felt that I could be better. And that gets back to who I was, as a young person, that I always felt that I wasn't good enough. So for me, it's always about doing better, and that's going to be our journey. So we'll always do better. We'll never, rest on our laurels, and it's how we help other people. That's where it's at.
It's the end game. Yeah.
Man, when you know you've saved people's lives, right? And I do it through business because that's my thing. But when you save people's lives and then you employ people around the world that were having, more hardship than I guess anyone in Australia could, than a lot in Australia could realise. I won't say everyone, but, than a lot could realise. I think we start, I think that we start to realise that if not us, then who? And that's what I say to our team.
Now, then when?
Yeah. I say to our team, if we're not going to stand up and if we're not going to champion this change and we're not going to be the ones that's going to do it, right, who else is going to do it? The government's not going to do it. The corporations aren't going to do it. It's got to be us. You need to stand with me and help us on the journey. And that's what I talk about with our leadership team.
Can you
all these people?
Can you give
sorry.
I was just going to say, can you give one thing I know a lot of people in my network struggle with is the people around them, and just negativity or just being around the wrong people that aren't pushing in that direction.
So this is what I was going to touch on quite a bit ago. I said that back in November last year, I think I had about 300 people on my Facebook page. It might have been 600. What I did, someone said something and it really pissed me off. And it's going for months at this point because, John, you're going to cost Australians jobs. And I'm thinking, fuck off. I care about local and Australians as much as anyone, right? And I'm thinking, you don't know How do you know that? How do you know that, selling your back room is not going to change the world and create a $40 billion job? What fucking world do you come from? What do you know that I don't know? Limiting beliefs, right? So what I end up doing is unfairly or fairly, I don't know what it is, but I end up cutting like 300 of my list in Facebook, including family members. I was like, fuck you. Honestly, I got pissed. And then I think on like about 6 weeks later on Boxing Day, I actually went back and added a lot of them back. But what I found in that 6 week, in this split test, was that I found that this is a Facebook split test. So this is what I'm calling it now, the massive Facebook split test. But then what I found is the people that I was engaging with were far more engaging to me. The 300 that I cut added no value to my life.
Yeah, I bet.
They were my relationships of yesterday.
Yeah.
Some might have been family, and it's hard to say, but they don't add value to my life. They don't care about me. Yeah. They don't engage with me. That's a two-way street, I might add. I'm not going to be,
yeah, of course.
I'm not adding value to their life either, so it's a two-way street. But what I found is the people that I was adding value to, and vice versa, it increased that connectivity, because the posts that I was adding to them and them to I got, if you like, filtered from all the others that were just confusing Facebook and social. So I can tell you that that's exactly what happened. So in a massive split test, I added everyone back. And some people today, look, I've got best mates through school today. I reached back out to them, and they didn't accept me back. Obviously, they got the shits on. Pretty fair call. I'm not knocking it, because I was the one that started it, right? So I understand, because I was the one that actually kicked them off my network, not the other way around. But
it's a wake-up call for both of you, though.
Probably, because I was probably wrong in doing it. I will make mistakes. There's no doubt about that.
Not right or wrong.
But look, I just got frustrated because people were being highly judgmental, and I thought, fuck you, right? You're not walking a day in my shoes. You don't know what pain we're going through as people, or where we're going, or what we're doing. So I made a decision, and it was the massive Facebook split test. And it's just, would I do it again? Yeah, I probably would. I think I'd still do it again, because I think that I worked out who really cared and who didn't care. And some of those...
Now you're using that, though. You're using that fuck you attitude to your advantage to reach out to people, as opposed to pushing haters away. You're actually almost creating them in being so much more forward and vocal about saying fuck you to the things that you don't like and appreciate.
Well, the funny thing is, look, I learned from doing something. I did learn some of there could have been a better way of doing it, but I think that I learned by taking action. And I think too many people, they don't take action. Look, when you get to the stage where some of your closest circle that have added very little value to you for a long time, and you boot them off, you say, fuck you. I don't know, like, I think too many of us, I think that where I was wrong was life gets in the way of all of our lives. That's where I was wrong. But what I did was, because I was getting the haters that were coming through at the time, right? And they were pulling me down on where we're trying to figure something out that they've fucking done nothing in their lives. They're living the life they want to live. So sorry, that's wrong me saying that. They're living the life that they want to live, but they haven't got out of their own way to try and create or do anything. They don't know what fucking innovation is or entrepreneurialism, honestly. And they're judging someone that's trying to do something that's having a go. But for me, I was actually flipping them all the bird. And if I keep saying if, but like when we're successful, and success for me is a never-ending story. It doesn't matter what height we reach. It's only part of the journey. So, look, I see that as we continue to get better and we grow, I do that to also show them that you were wrong. You judged because your limiting beliefs. Someone that actually had the right intention for helping. These same people have got no fucking idea that I have personally spent hundreds of hours not getting paid to help people succeed in business. Hundreds and hundreds of hours spent. I would have spent $100,000 more, $200,000 of commercial value on helping business succeed. No one knows about it. They got no fucking idea on what we've done to help other people be successful. And they judge. They don't have a right, right?
Does that now
You don't
light
have
a
a
fire
right.
under your ass, that judgment now?
Oh, yeah,
Or is
you
it
can
still
hear
trigger you?
it, right?
Yeah.
Man, for me, it's the passion. My passion is absolute in what I do. You know, I'm obsessive compulsive. I'm a workaholic. I love what I do, and I'll say things that perhaps I shouldn't say at times, and I'll be wrong at times as well. But it's not about being wrong. It's about the care. You know, I care more than most people out there, and we'll go do shit that's going to deliver that care. Where most people in the world, you know, they talk shit and they're not actually taking the action, right? We won't do that. You know, we will.
Yeah.
As I said, we're not perfect, but we will stand by what we say we'll do, and we will do it, right? And we care about people around. All the injustices that's making those things something that it shouldn't be, right? That's what I care about. I care about the corruption in governments that's holding on to money that could be helping people. I care about charity, and I love charity, but charity in the modern world is completely going down the wrong pathway. It's not because people don't need help.
Yeah.
It's because the bureaucracy of the charities absorbs up to 90% of the money that we donate that never gets to the people that deserve the money. For me, that's an injustice. Right?
Yeah. That's why I created a foundation.
It's unrealistic.
100%.
So for me, we're just going to do it a different way, and we're going to be passionate about it. The people that know who we truly are, you know, they get on board, and when they get on board, they will accept us for our failures, our imperfections, and they will help us on our journey. And that is more important than, you know, having, you know, now I'm at 1,500 people on Facebook, so I've sort of expanded pretty heavily back. So, you know, I've probably still got a 50 or 100 that haven't joined back up. I guess at some point, look, I got to the point I'm thinking, like, I deleted all the requests. I cancelled all the requests, right? Because I figured I'd stuff it. But I guess, like, I probably should go back to them and say, offer the hand of friendship again, because I was probably wrong in the approach. But I don't know, like, man. You're
quick to say that as well. You're quick to jump on board and say, like, and it's this testament to what we're saying earlier about be okay making mistakes, be okay failing forwards and failing fast, and doing a test and reacting instinctively. Like, it's okay to be yourself, express yourself like you do, but it's also taking responsibility for when you recognize that you get the feedback that you needed and apologizing where needed, taking responsibility for what you did, and then making amends for anything that needs to be made, but continue to move forward and not let that stop you and hold you back as well, and not making yourself wrong either.
Look, I think that we can't sit on the fence anymore. But I do know a lot of the things that I say is based on my perspective of the information at hand today. So
that's what you've got.
So I can only go from what I know, and often when you learn and grow and you get a broader perspective, you can actually be wrong because you didn't know enough. So I think that life is a journey. So it's about recognizing that, you know, sometimes you're going to stand for something, do something, or get it wrong, and then you need to accept it. You know, so we will, we as a business, particularly me, I will, I'll apologise a lot to the future, but I think that we'll end up doing things that people just wouldn't imagine, because we'll be real. People understand who we are, and I've got no doubt that if we've got customers that watch this and they know everything that I've said here is 100% true. I've got staff that know this to be 1,000% true, because they see the inside. They see, if you like, the real care that's happening. You know, that for us is why we do what we do. And a lot of those people are making just as many sacrifices as what I'm making. And for me, it's about the integrity of taking care of the people around you. You know,
a lot of amazing
it's
people
integrity
around.
Yeah. So you actually said that the people that are out there, they're trying to fight, you know, or change, and they're scared of their haters, or frightened to act. It's hard, right? I guess you've got to get to a point in your life where you need to work out is, if you passed away today, would you be satisfied with where you are? You know, on what you've done and what you stood for. Did you think you had, you know, do you think there was more left? You know, when I started running my best marathons, and particularly when they were, you know, you'd run I'd run a big city marathon different to like a local marathon, or you know, regional marathons I'd go to. And when I knew I was the prominent runner or athlete in the field, I do this on the bike as well. I started working on the psychology of the race. So I would knew what I was capable of, and most importantly, I'd be trying to test what others were capable of. So what I would then do is, when the gun would go, I would then go into a very, very hard start, you know, fast. So fast that people became fearful, right? Because they know that they couldn't run 5K at that race, let alone 42K at that race. So what I focused was about the psychology, and then I would work their psychology. Then as we'd peel the speed back and settle into a fast but more reasonable rhythm, all I was now working on is changing the speed up and down every now and again, listening to footfalls and listening to breathing. So I was sensing what was going on around me. So I was just there listening to everything that was happening in you know, the people around me, because what I was sensing for is, you know, was the gap, the opportunity to then apply the pressure. So this is competitive spirit, right? It's the intent. I ran those races knowing that I was going to do the very best that I could have done every single time.
Can you say that,
And I
say
think
that again? It just cut
what,
out for a second.
So I ran those races with the intent, knowing that I was going to do the very best that I could do every single time. And I think that we don't run our lives like that. And I'm not saying don't chill. I will jump on the couch later with my wife and we'll watch, you know, an hour and a half of Netflix, right? We'll talk about business. We'll catch up. We'll connect. We'll talk about the kids. Talk about her, what she's doing, what I'm doing. That's our time, right? But then I'll have a nap and I'll get in the business and do another 8 hours of work, right? And it's about the intent. Every single day, I do my very, very best. Every single day, we progress. How many other people live their lives like that? Right? They're going through the motions. They're not satisfied. Most people aren't satisfied. So I can look myself in the mirror and there's things I'm not happy about with where I am that I personally need to get better. I professionally need to get better. You know, from a business, what we need to get better. But if I passed away tomorrow, no one cry for me in the sense of, did he deliver the best he could have got out of his life? You know, because I did. I tried to do the best I could do. So I think that a lot of people can't say that. And for me, I can say that. You know, I tried to give more in the last 5 years of my life to so many more people, with real care, real value and real meaningful outcome than most people I know. And for me, I can look in the mirror every day of my life and know that I've become the best version of me at the moment, and we're helping others do the same. And that's where we are. And I think that if people are having troubling times, what they need to do is look in the mirror and say, you know, if it all ended tonight, would you be satisfied? Only they can answer that.
It's a pretty powerful question.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. John, I could literally talk to you all night and all day, and we'd still have stuff to talk about.
Oh, there's always, look, I'd love to ask you questions about where you're going, and I see your journey, and I get incredibly. My bane is I personally become incredibly time poor. I think at the moment I've got about 70 or 80 staff globally, in Australia and overseas. We've got more and more customers coming on every day, and we're building systems, we're building technology, we're building training, we're building processes. We're project managing. I'm project managing heaps of things at the moment. I'm incredibly time poor, and I love it too. I'm not complaining. So I don't get to consume enough of other people I value, if you like what you're talking about online. I've seen some of your things, and you're talking about things that really matter. And for me, that's what I loved when I was listening to what you're talking about, right? And that's why we connected. I don't see enough of your stuff, and I do apologise for that. But if all I did was consume, content online, I'd never get things done. And the only way that I'm going to be successful and deliver for the people around us, right, is I've got to make the sacrifices to be successful. And that is, sometimes definitely. I've got to work hard, and that means, head down, bum up, and, get output. But
100%.
Man, keep doing what you're doing, and keep it real. Keep talking about the really tough things. It makes a difference in people's lives. Life's not easy, and I know, life's not easy. And if any of your people reach out to me, I'm just another person. I'm no better than anyone else. Sometimes I'm worse than other people, but I don't believe anyone's better than anyone else. It doesn't matter where you are, what level you get to. I was no different when I was, at the top of my game in running and cycling, and I'll be no different no matter where we go in terms of business as well. But, it's about the people around you that matter. And
definitely.
For me, it's all about how many people can we really make a meaningful difference to people's lives.
100%. Yeah, I'm on this journey with you, man, and it's awesome. There's so many people that I'm connecting with, and you're obviously one of them. Yeah.
It's a privilege to watch someone be as strong as what you're becoming. And I know it's not easy as well. And to be as vulnerable and to talk about the real things. You're doing things I can't do at the moment. Maybe one day I'll be strong enough to do that. But keep doing what you're doing, because it makes a big difference. So.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks so much, John.
Anytime, mate. Sorry for being a bit late today. I sort of got caught up in, executing, and I'm more than happy to have another chat in the future as well. Like in a month, 2 months, 3 months, you let me know, and we'll just make it happen. I'll be down in Gippsland, in 14 or 15 days, mate. I'll be in Traralgon in 14 to 15 days. How long are you up there for?
Are you staying down for I'm only here I'm only in Gippsland until the 4th of December, and then back to Gold Coast. That's where I'm living at the moment.
Oh, is that right? Oh, well, so I think we fly in about the 18th. We're there for about 12 days or something. So, bugger.
Perfect.
But if you're about, I'd love to catch up, and maybe we can do a face-to-face live or something. But
that'd be good.
For me, and look, also, I think the name that we're going to create our technology company, our app's going to be Impossible. So IN possible, right? Yeah. And I think that what I see at the moment, so Darwin has really struggled to be innovative in the tech space, and I think that you can talk all day long, but you've got to lead, right? And so I honestly believe leaders have to lead. And I think that when I look at Traralgon as well and Gippsland, it hasn't been able to, rise to those, like innovation ranks or technology ranks as well. And it was like my first home, and certainly Darwin's my second home, or it's my home now. And look, I've fallen in love with the place, I really have. But I think that you've got to give back. And one day I'd like to be successful enough to make a meaningful difference, in Gippsland, to show people, how they can
Definitely.
truly break out of, what it looks like today and achieve the impossible. But, it's all talk. You've got to go execute, and that's what we're doing. So I think that in 2 or 3 or 4 years' time, when we look back, like in the last 17 months, you go from 6 staff to 62 staff. That's pretty fast. And it's
yeah, it's exponential. If it continues that rate, like, fuck.
Yeah, so look, I would like to reach 1,000 staff within probably about 12 months or so. It'll probably take about 18 months, to be honest, so about 1,000. And then the 12 months after that, I'd like to be at 10,000 staff. So, that's a bit of an indication where we see where we're going to go. If we're at 10,000 staff in like 2.5 years' time, man, we've passed more tech startups than what they would care to poke a stick at. And we know what we're doing. It could end up taking 3 or 3.5 years. Time is arbitrary, really. But we know what we're trying to do. And why we want to do that is because not only do we want to make a meaningful difference, but we want to come back to communities and help communities, in innovation and entrepreneurialism and showing people that the breaking the limiting beliefs, you know what I mean? And that's what you and I have in common. We want to help people. And that's why we do what we do. So, and our goal doesn't stop at 10,000 staff, by the way. That's a very, very small number where we want to
Sure,
head.
it doesn't.
So,
Yeah.
We didn't think, but you don't think much on it. But I can tell you that when we first started, I had a number. That number's been revised upward massively from where we are now, because when you go from 6 staff to 62 staff and you think that anything's fucking impossible, right?
Yeah. True. Well, it's someone did some calculations the other day. If you've got you got 1,500 people just on your Facebook page now, right? But everyone's got approximately 1,000, probably on average 1,000 people in their network or people that they know. So within 3 to 4 degrees of separation, we're influencing 1 billion people, just like that. Like, it's
absolutely, with
the globalization, it's so quick and easy to just reach that. Yeah, it's ridiculous, the numbers, how quickly they stack up.
It's just crazy. It really is. And I think that's where limiting beliefs and the unknowns, and thinking traditional ways, it's hard because you've got to...
Perspective is small.
Yeah, we've all got to change. And I've got to continue to change. Look, at the moment, I'm reading a wonderful book here called AIQ. It's all about artificial intelligence, right?
Okay.
So because I know that we'll be knee deep in AI and machine learning in about 5 months' time. So our core technology will be built, but will be in AI. So it's all about your learning. You've got to continue to push your learning, and for us, that's what it's about. And that's only the first step in where we've got to go there, because AI, machine learning, deep learning, augmented reality, blockchain. We've got some pretty cool technologies we're talking to at the minute, and that's going to be the fundamental pathway to our success. We have beautiful. More things happen. Man, we've got more things happen on a weekly basis. I just can't download. It's just crazy. The opportunities that pass our desk at the moment. It's just, the more we do, the more opportunities we get. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
And that's where I think people have to realise that as well. Where your limiting beliefs are today, you need to expand them. Just hang around people.
Yeah, that are doing some amazing stuff. TED Talks is great for it. I made this opportunity, rainbow of opportunity, where I was explaining to one of my friends who was just lethargic, not really in action, just doing fuck all. And I drew this rainbow on the board for him. And I'm like, you're down underneath the rainbow and you need to go to every color on the rainbow. And the first color, there's just one door. It's one door of an opportunity that you need to walk through. And as soon as you walk through that door and take action, all of a sudden, like 2 or 3 doors appear on the next color. And then you choose one, and then 3 or 4 appear, and then 5. And then the top color, there's just too many opportunities and too many doors for you to walk through. But the main thing is just taking that first step and just actually taking action, because when you're in a position like you are now, they're exponential, or they're unlimited, the amount of opportunities and doors that are there for you to walk through.
You know, we've got opportunities that people don't even know. We're building a core technology, right? We've been so privileged, so blessed with working with some amazing people around the world, you know, digital agencies and other business advisors and facilitators and thought leaders. We're working with some thought leaders and helping them on their journey at the moment. And, you know, in many, many ways, you know, I'm so privileged because I'm working with people that I look up to, that are mentoring me, but we're working together as partners. And,
So
you know,
cool.
I'm so privileged that that's happening. And,
Yeah.
and I look, when we finalise how we can unlock some of those opportunities, one of them is just mind-boggling, you know, and I know that we'll help them on their pathway as well. But they're the right people.
Yeah.
They care about people, you know. They care about, you know, about people all over the world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, for us, it's the people that we're on the journey with, you know, and it's the most important thing, the people. And I think that we're going to look back in a number of years and we'll go, wow, that was just crazy.
Yeah. And I think that one thing you touched on a little bit earlier was just sort of understanding humanities is the way they are. But I do feel that the collective consciousness is rising and people's vibrations raising, and their empathy and understanding, compassion is raising, and just conversations like this are becoming more and more.
It's so true, but a lot of people still get back to protectionism because we're fearful, right?
Yeah.
And it's a very real thing, right? It really is. Because, you know, if we don't have a job, our life is impacted the most, right? So you get back to survivor, you know, being in the survival mode. And I think that the world's changing there. And it doesn't have to be, you know, us versus them. It can be like 1 + 1 = 10. And it's a different mindset. And I think that we've been so focused for so long on protecting ourselves and winning, sometimes often at others' expense, that has been a fundamental flaw of the world.
It's how the education, culture, and government and systems been set up that way to work that way. It's been built in us from children, to be brought up in that, with that paradigm. So, like you said, saying fuck you to the status quo, it's the right way, but it's the unreasonable compared to what we've been taught and what we've grown up to learn and understand as well.
Yeah, it's hard because you need other people on your journey to help validate your pathway as well. And when you've got the wrong people that's in your inner circle and you listen to them, they're holding you back. You know, in fact, it's worse than holding you back. They're actually dream stealers. And that is the biggest problem we have in the world.
Excuses.
Yeah. So you find the right people, and even if they're not in your immediate vicinity, circle, you know, reach out to them, because I think the genuine people in the world, they'll help other people. You know, and I think that some get time poor because they're scaling or they're busy doing multiple things. But I think that what you'll find is where there is a genuine, you know, groups of people, you know, they will try to understand and help people along their journey as well. And then the more they understand that you're absolutely genuine, then even the more they'll help you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So is there, can you share with people where to find you, how to work with you, if there's anyone that you're looking for specifically, or just where to sort of contact you and where to see you? Obviously, you put out a lot of content yourself, so you're great to follow as well. So, where they can find John Mackenzie.
Just, you know, find John Mackenzie. No doubt I'm on this link. You know, follow Staff Leverage, because sometimes one will hit one side or the other. And just connect. You know, you never know where the world's going to go. Look, I think that some of the best things that's happened to me is when other people that's helped me on my journey, you know, and they saw value, and then they were willing to to give the hand out to help. And I think that life should always be about that circle of, you know, giving as much as what you get in life. In fact, it should be giving more than what you get. So, so I think that it doesn't matter where you end up going, you've always got to give more to others. And, some of that could be just building relationships initially. So connect.
That's awesome. Yeah. And just last note on that, I think that what I'm noticing is you can't receive more than what you're giving. Like, unless you really don't do fuck all. Like, when you start having this mindset of really wanting to be there for people and help people, it's just like, it's crazy. There's so much to give. There's so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just,
and the reward, the money is just a symptom of it, whatever it is.
Look, it really is. And sometimes when you're in startup phase, it's hard because you're trying to figure out, oh man, I need to make money, but but you've got to give before you get the money. That's the way the world is. So figure that side out and bootstrap it and make it happen. And if you want to change your world, it's there. It's there. People will help you. People give you some good guidance and advice. I think that the key you need to realise, doesn't matter where you are, and one of the hardest things is we're not alone. We're not alone.
Yeah.
We feel alone, but we're not, because there are people that are genuine. They do care, you need to figure that out. Yeah.
You need to reach out. You need to open your mouth. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, you do need to connect with people, and when they really start to understand who you are, and even some of your challenges, sometimes they can just help you by guiding you to get better outcomes. And it is possible to change your world just by someone pointing in the right direction.
100%. Yeah. Definitely. Thank you so much for hanging out, joining us.
No worries, brother.
Always a pleasure.
It's been awesome. Don't even know what we talked
definitely.
about.
Oh, right. Everything that needed to come up for sure.
Yeah, no, that's good.
That's
so,
beautiful.
man, just keep changing the world, okay?
Thanks, bro. You too. I'll do it if you do it.
Okay. No problem,
Let's get
brother.
yourself a deal.
Okay. Bye.
Enjoy. Thanks for joining us, guys. See you later.